Today we're going to be looking at the Expedition Dash, the New Kingdom event, which I love for two reasons. The first reason, it's really challenging and fun. And the second reason, it's made for sleeper accounts. So, no jumpers allowed. If you're a jumper, this video is not for you, nor is this event. You're not going to be able to rank on it when you jump to your new kingdom. But for you sleeper accounts, here's a special one for you. And now, of course, the sleeper account is made for 20 days. And unbelievably, this event runs for 20 days. It's almost like they made the event for us. So, I've now completed this. I only managed 13 days and 6 hours, but I got to warn you, getting to level 40 on the expedition, starting from 0, not being a jumper, is quite tough. You need a bit of luck with your commanders, you need a bit of knowledge, and of course you've got to push your city capacity and your army to its limits to get that reward. So what am I going to get for 11th? I nearly got 10th. Look at that, nearly, but still 400 gems, a 3-hour speed up, and of course everyone knows that you're brilliant. So let's go and have a look at Expedition and talk about what I do to get further. Now, I've made Expedition content in the past, and the truth is nobody really watched it, but I'm hoping because of this new event, we're going to get a bit more interest, that it's now worth getting to 40 a little quicker. There's lots of other reasons why it's worth getting to level 40. Firstly, all of these 3-star wins are a passive income. Every day you come here and you can collect all these rewards every single day. So progress equals passive income. Also, progress equals the coins to spend in the medal shop. This, of course, will progress your commanders. And if you're interested in Sunset Canyon like me, then this is an absolute must. So, let's start with the early levels. So, of course, the key to these early levels is Sun Tzu. And I, of course, was rushing my tier 1 to get my army as big as possible, as quick as possible. The reason you want your army big as possible, as quick as possible, is some of these early challenges have you need to have a certain number of troops left over. Let's see if we can find it. Lose less than 50% of your troops. So the larger your army, the easier that is going to be to lose less than 50% of your troops. Also keep in mind that you may have one real march at this early stage. You can always then just put your siege into another march and just sit them to one side. Don't engage in the battle, just to help you reach that don't lose less than 50% of your troops. So let's start with which commanders I like to use early. And of course, my favourite is Sun Tzu with one of the commanders that I'm going to use in my Sunset Arena team. So, for example, what I did on this outing, on this account, is I got this commander here early, whose name always escapes me. I just called him the Korean Archer Commander. Now, a lot of you will say this is not a good commander comparing, but you're wrong. Early game, you have no meta marches. By meta marches, I mean a march that is completely infantry. All your marches tend to be integration, including siege, horsemen, warriors, bowmen, a real mixed bag. So, mixing commanders early doesn't matter. What we're interested in these early commanders is type of damage AOE. So, once I got Sun Tzu to 5111, I then got the Korean Archer Commander 511 to create a march that firstly is useful to me now in Expedition, but will in the future also be useful to me in Sunset Canyon, as this is a key commander for Sunset Canyon. Also, for the early game, we need to realise there are some broken skills. And of course, Sun Tzu has one of the broken skills, is that one of his skills is take less damage from all incoming damage. So it's for troops though, not just for infantry. And why is that important? Is again, like I said, you've got an integrated march. You don't just have all infantry, you've got an integrated march. Also, you've got to remember with Sun Tzu is that his skills, his talents, early talents should be into skilled talents. These are also for integration. It doesn't matter what you're fighting or what's in your march, that to get the 9 extra rage, the extra skill damage, and the reason why I like the Korean archer guy is that he does additional skill damage, which means I can then fill this to 6% and really boost up this early march. Of course, now I am going into infantry as I'm starting to use him in Sunset Canyon, but early skill is an integration. It's for all troop types, and that reduced damage that Sun Tzu has is a gain for all troops types, making him unbalanced in the early game. Why is the second commander an archer commander? It's because if you follow the quest line as you open up your research and follow the main quest line here, it will make you open the infantry first, then it will make you open the archers. So you're going to have more infantry and archers early than you are cavalry and siege. So that's important, and if you can work it into your first march, that's brilliant. You could, of course, use any other AoE commander. Well, there's only really one, and that's this guy here, Baybars. Let's call him that. But of course, I didn't get him, but I will be talking about him later because I brought him in my second march. So let's go back through there. So powering through these early levels of expedition, we are increasing our city hall size to increase our march. We're getting as many tier 1s as we can start to get tier 2s. Don't upgrade tier 1s to tier 2s. You want to just start then training tier 2s. This is, of course, you want to expand your army size so that they can carry the commanders into battle. The first real road stop you hit is 20, which is a little difficult, but as you start gaining the tier 2s and you get both your commanders to 5, 1, 1, 1, 1, you should be able to push past him. We then need to talk about, as we get to 25 and 30, we start to get the real tests of single commander takedowns. So let's have a look at 30. So 30 is in fact easier than 25. So 25 is Martell. So obviously I can smash through him now like a whale, but at the time he was very difficult to bring down 70,000 troops with a Martell march. This is where we need to start understanding that the AoE damage isn't going to help us here. We need to look at commanders that debuff the march. So, this battle goes on for a while. It goes on for 1 or 2 minutes when you are getting past it first time. That means that things like rage become more important than perhaps even skill damage. And there are 2 commanders who have broken early skills. So, let's talk about those and how they can help you push past Martell and these single target takedowns. So I say these other ones, you're just using AoE to put out as much damage as possible to bring down the group of them. But with the single targets, we need to be interested in commanders such as... So we could swap out the Korean archer commander because he's AoE. I don't need him here. He might be my biggest skill hit though. But what I'm interested in is in commanders like El Cid, who I was lucky enough to get early. So let's look at his skill here. So the reason why his skill is broken is that you get the full benefit of the debuff regardless of what level it is. So instead of it going for the next 0.2, the next 0.4, the next 0.6, the next 0.8, then the next 0.1 second, it goes straight to, for the next 1 second, the target cannot launch a basic attack or use its active skill. Now that doesn't seem a lot, but when you're fighting Martell for 2 minutes, that will push away his shield defense by 1 second. then next 10 seconds by 1 second, then next 10 seconds by 1 second, and also reduces output damage every 10 seconds by half of the attack, because it takes away the attack. It leaves the counter damage, but it's almost like you're healing your main march. This will completely change the outcome of the battle with Martell. Another one that you can use if you're not lucky enough there is Herman's main skill. Again, it not only reduces rage, but it also silences for 2 seconds. And again, that silence doesn't scale. It's not when you've got him one, it's at 0.4, then 2 it's at 0.8, and 3 it's at 1.2. It doesn't scale like that. You get the full benefit straight away, which is a little broken compared to other people's commanders. So if we look at, say, Ethelfled, say her debuff scales whilst she is improved, whilst you are putting the skill up, where that does not happen to Herman and El Cid. Now, Herman's not as good because you need a bit of luck. That, of course, that you're going to trigger the silence whilst Martell is about to cast his skill. So sometimes that can miss, and it's very difficult to get it to hit at the right time. Also for Martell, you're going to be thinking about adding your second march. So for my second march, I like this. What's he called? What's her name? Matilda of Flanders. The reason I like her is, firstly, she has a debuff. It's only at 7% for 2 seconds, but that keeps your main march up. But you're going to have a lot of siege. By this time, a fourth of your army will be siege. And you don't want that in your main march that's tanking the Martell, but to have it in your second march, and then to have the 10% health and 10% defense on your siege is massive. It will keep them up a lot longer and fighting. They say you'll also start to push your cavalry into this march, because of course you've got your tier 2 infantry, you've got your tier 2 archers, and you've been making them for quite a while. Then eventually you've added in your tier 3 cavalry, but you're going to have less, so we could then have the cavalry commander. But what you want to keep in your mind is you want the cavalry commander to be somebody that you're going to use in your Sunset Canyon team. So I didn't mind getting this guy to 4111 because, of course, I'm going to use him. Is that 411? Okay, maybe that's 311. But no, that's 411. But I'm going to use him later. I'm going to use both of these in my expedition team. So we have 2 marches now, but instead of them being integrated, where they had all types of troops, the first march is starting to turn into infantry and archers. And the second march is turning into cavalry and siege. So we're getting the right commanders for the jobs and the troops that we have. Of course, this is nonsense for the Wales. They just obviously will have maybe even a full tier 4 march by now, and Martell won't be a problem for them. And of course, they don't really need to think about debuffs because Minamoto's skill hit is so large, it doesn't matter. But for us, free to play, this is really important, that you're using the right commanders for the army you have. Now, to push past Martell, you're also going to have to start thinking about extra buffs. So any buff that you have is taken into expedition. So let's have a look at those. So the most simple one that everyone should be using is your troop attack +5 to make those skill hits bigger, the white damage bigger, and that, of course, you will have plenty of those from searching the map and opening green chests and such like. The second one that a lot of people forget about is an extra 3% attack from your War Frenzy. So here I am, I'm just going to attack one of my farms, but I don't really want to hit one of my farms, but that's giving me an extra 3%. You should maybe even start to be able to get runes as well, depending how your monument is going. And on this rune, I've got an extra 3% health. It all makes a difference. Of course, so there's the 3 buffs that you can get. There is a 4th, and occasionally I do use it when I really want to push forward. is you can get an extra 25% march, but you really want the march capacity to come from increasing your city hall level. So every time you increase your city hall level, you're getting more march capacity. This will help you push past these hard commanders. You can, of course, when you're doing your research, to move away from economic technology, but obviously not until you've got masonry full, not until you've got writing full. There are important things you need to do in economic technology, but you could always switch to your combat and say push ironworks to 5-5. That's 10% attack. It makes a real difference. But of course, you need to really get it across the board. But only do that if you're struggling. In principle, make sure you've got that writing maxed before you do anything like that. So let's move back on again. So we've pushed past Martell. You'll be a bit surprised that you'll push past Scorpio in no time because he has no damage output. We've now had the bonus levels, which are a little misunderstood. I've even met a few players, experienced players, who didn't know fully how these work. So the first one here is a test of your castle. So you get given a rallied march. So if we put down our troop numbers here to 10,000, the rallied march will be 6 times that 10,000. So let's start. And there we are, 60,000. So of course I've got a 400,000 capacity. So without having to do the maths too precisely, I'm going to put the march up to 70,000. And we should then fill that march up completely, which gives more troops for our extra march. So there we are, 60,000. 70,000 is a little over. It's more 410, isn't it? But that fills that march up completely. And then we can, of course, take down this city. If you're not getting past the listed level, you need to look more at your castle size. To bring down this first one, you need at least 300,000, maybe even 350,000 to bring down this first one quick. And of course you have your second marches to try and debuff, but don't let those marches die. Sometimes though, you're going to start to need the higher level troops. But what's good about that is the higher level troops are times 6. So if you've only got 10,000 tier 3 or 20,000 tier 2, that's times 6. So you have a lot more when you're doing that mission. Now the next one here is a test of 2 things. This really is a test of your commanders. And of course the 2 commanders I've picked as my main march, you'll also notice, are both garrison commanders. So I've got a lot of extra. I know it's only 1% counter, and well, it's actually 7% less damage on Sun Tzu because I was a bit unlucky with how his skills landed. But so your full march does go into the garrison, and you really, if you can have garrison commanders, which Sun Tzu is a freebie, then that's brilliant. But your watchtowers begin to matter here as well, but not as much as your castle size matters on the one before. One of the real skills to this one is bringing marches into your AoE. So your trash march goes out, collects one of these, but then you don't just sit there and fight him, you move him into the path of these other 2 marches here. And then when Sun Tzu does do his skill hit, look, there we go. Do you see how the skill hit then hit the march I was fighting? So it takes a bit of skill, but you want to collect the marches and move them into the AoE, where this march is receiving the damage, but then the march it's fighting is receiving the AoE damage of the garrison commanders. This is really important and will help you push through and 3-star this in no time. Some people just go out and fight the other march, but that's not right. You want to try and bring the other march into the AoE damage for free damage. Will massively change the outcome of this battle. I'm a bit too strong and killing them too quickly. In fact, I could just kill them with my extra march. Let's see if we can pull this one into the AoE. That's going to be a bit longer of a fight.
So Sun Tzu can hit 3, so it's wasting it if he only hits 2. If I can just pull him down into the right spot. Oh, it's going to miss. Oh, I missed. I'm killing them too quickly. But you get the idea, and that's how you push through and get the really, really valuable Ethel heads. Ethel, that's how I think is their name. But the rewards for these, the bonus ones, are really, really important. So, pushing through the... you're going to start to get more troops. I continuously... I never upgrade troops because I want the largest army possible for getting through the levels where I need X number of troops to survive. Sometimes I even go back from training tier 3 or tier 2 to tier 1 if I want to bulk out my army to get through the levels, to get that precious 3 stars. So, let's talk about the really hard level. So, eventually you'll brute force and push through to Sun Tzu YSG here, which is a really difficult match. And let's just look at the basic tactics of that. So let's go. So remember, this is a single target takedown. So I'm going to use Herman. I'm also going to use this much forgotten about commander here. So she's got 600 damage, but also reduces rage by 50. I want to draw down the rage. So I'm taking down the rage by 70, taking down the rage by 50, because I've got to reduce the amount of skill damage coming off YSG, otherwise I'm in real trouble. For this last march, obviously, I want the reduction there. Oh no, where's my... So there's a lot of siege in this march, so of course I want Matilda with her 10% and 10%, but I want that precious debuff from Ethelfled as well. So let's see if I can do this. I've only just done this recently. We've also got to think about troop positions on this one. So, Sun Tzu's going to tank, but I've got to get out of YSG's skill damage. And I think my troops are going too quick. So obviously we've got to make sure Sun Tzu's doing the fighting. The truth is, though, to get past this, you really need to get the City Hall level much higher so you can get your march over 100k. Let's now attack. So, my troops are safe. They actually need, they're too bunched up. They need to be a little further apart. Now, did you see what I did there with Herman? So once his skill is full, and this is really difficult, you could just try and move him and then move him so that his 2-second hits at the right time to try and delay the YSG. It's not easy. Some people will find that easy. I personally find that quite difficult, but as I say, that is another tactic you can use where you're turning the mechanics of the game, where you're delaying Herman's hit to try and put it in time with YSGs to try and delay him 2 seconds. Not easy, but could help. So why are we going to do it? So he's down to 46. So let's just watch the white damage. Did you see the 400 odd go to 197? That's when El Cid reduced his attack. 4 went to 212. There we go. So it's not a heal. So I think we're going to take him down maybe. We've got 52 seconds on the clock. Sun Tzu's in a bit of trouble though. Now, I'm doing this with no tier 4. Because of course I'm free to play. You're not going to have the tier 4 early. So really I'm just doing this with buffs. With using the right commanders. A little bit of skill. If you could do that with Herman, then you're probably more skilled than me. I think we're going to take him down. I don't think Sun Tzu's going to see the end though. Come on. 2,000. Oh, he might. He's going to do it. Oof. Yep, 3 alive. But lose less than 60% troops. I'm nowhere near that. What I could do is start spamming tier 1 to really bulk up my numbers. And that's the only way I think I'm going to get through that without lose less than 60% of my troops. So, I hope this guide helps somebody. I know there's a lot of obvious stuff in here, but I hope you've also learnt some things that you can do, especially that Herman trick at the end there. The use of Elcid, and obviously you've got to be lucky with your commanders. It's too early really to use Joan. Obviously she's a great debuffer, you'll be using her later in the expedition, but we were just looking at the expedition dash in this video, and there we go. So I would love to hear your comments. If you're free to play and you've beaten 13 days and what was it, 13 days and 6 hours, and you're free to play, I would love to have a message from you to hear about how you did that, because that is some high skill stuff. Thanks for watching, and that's all for today.